Anyways, we are back sooner than expected actually, and the reason for that is we're actually going to be starting the A push kekw review, the AP US history kekw review early. You see, the thing I noticed about the AP Euro kekw review, they were kind of released like 3 days before the AP test, but you know, the day of the AP test, you know how it is. But hear me out. If we start the A push kekw review as the year goes on, then there'll be more time to study. Just saying. A push kekw review. Anyways, so with that being said, y'all know how this works. It's the A push kekw review, because if you're watching this video, actually no, we have to come with a new name for it. Well, kekw review, because kekw means laughing, and you know, I'm kind of laughing at you if you're studying for the A push review late. See? The methodology still applies. Alright, so the overall topic of today, we're going to be talking about NA. We're going to be talking about the people who lived in the Americas before the Europeans come. We're going to be talking about Europe and how they come and kind of wreck the Native American scene in a way. So yeah. So first up, NA before Europe. So it's actually a pretty common misconception that NA was nomadic land. Everyone was kind of a nomad before the Europeans came. That's kind of a misconception. Some people were nomadic, don't get me wrong. There were some nomadic groups, but people normally lived according to their environment. Now, let's just say if the environment was very resource rich, for example, they had tons of like food, there would be no point in having a hunter-gatherer lifestyle where you just go out and you hunt, you chase down herds of buffalo, because there's no need to hunt for food. It's just kind of there. But if there's not a lot of food, and food is seasonal, and food moves around and migrates and whatnot, obviously the people are also going to have to migrate in order to chase down said food. So that's why while some people lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, some of them actually lived in pretty big cities and whatnot. First of all, let's talk about the Pueblo people. So these are the very iconic cliff-living people that you see like in the picture on the bottom left. They were pretty settled. They lived in like Utah and Colorado, around that area. They were farmers because, you know, they had pretty good land. They had plants like beans, maize, which is like a kind of corn, and squash. And they had really advanced irrigation, like irrigation centers where water would pour in and like water all the crops, you know, like Roman stuff. You know, if you watch AP Euro, you understand. And they made like cities along the cliffs. Pretty cool. Next, in the plains. So the plains had a lot of nomadic people, like the Ute, right? They lived in the area above the Colorado, basically all the way up to Canada, and they were considered to live in the Great Plains. People there living who are mostly nomads. They hunted, they gathered, they killed like buffalo and whatnot. They foraged off the land, but that's because their food was always constantly moving around. Their environment was constantly changing. They had varying weather. They had varying food sources, and their food liked to move around a lot. So that's why they were mostly nomadic. And also, they were organized into tribes. They weren't just like groups of people. So it was somewhat organized. The coast. So the coast had a very similar situation to like the farmer people. The thing is, the ocean provides a lot of good resources because, one, it's good for trade. We learned that from AP Euro. It's really good for trade because, you know, it's the ocean. You have access to everybody. Ocean also provides fish, and I mean, it's Cali. Like, who doesn't like to live in Cali? But in Cali, the ocean side provided good food sources for the people living there in order to give them different foods and materials. The Chumash people lived in California. They had really settled lifestyles. They had a lot of good food. They had a lot of resources from the ocean nearby. You know, the water in general is just kind of a big indicator of life. So if there's water there, most likely there's also life there. The Chinook people, they lived in the upper west coast, and they lived very similarly to the other coastal settings. They had lots of wood, so they were able to make like wooden houses and whatnot to like settle in. Even though they weren't like super sophisticated, they were wooden houses nonetheless. In the east, in the northeast, there were actually farmers who planted maize and they lived in long houses. I mean, it would be really, really stupid if they were called long houses, but they weren't long. But they lived in long houses that were made from wood because, you know, the northeast actually had a lot of forests at the time. So they had plenty of wood. Remember, the civilizations kind of lived according to their environment. So if their environment enabled a lot of wood to be used because they were in forest, obviously they would use the wood to build houses and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of what they did. Since they had a lot of wood, a lot of trees, they built houses. The Midwest. So this is the Midwest area. Farmers, they had a lot of flat land, obviously. You know, present day, there's not really much there anyways. So obviously they just became farmers. It was hella flat. It was along the Mississippi River, right? So they made irrigation systems and very good waterways. Some of the biggest groups of people, like I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry. The Chaokila. They were the biggest civilization at the time. Like, they were huge. It was estimated they had over 10,000 citizens. 10,000 to 30,000, actually. I didn't put that in, but 10,000 to 30,000. And they were hella good at farming. So that's kind of what they did. So, white people. Anyways, because of Europe's newfound favoring in Asian goods and stuff coming from China and whatnot, monarchs wanted a good way to actually go to Asia. At the time, there were only two ways to go to Asia. One of them being by land, so you have to walk from Asia all the way down to like wherever Turkey is, the Middle East, and then you get to Asia. Or you can go around down by Africa. Some people also tried going up through the Arctic, but that was not very successful. Well, not as successful. And so they thought, hey, if the Earth is round, why can't we just go around the other way? But nobody really explored there yet. So yeah, they did it. And this guy named Christopher Columbus, right? He was like, I'm gonna go to the other side of the world. And he found the new world. He found America. And he introduced America to the monarchs. So, reasons for European monarchs to explore the Americas. The 3 Gs, we learned about these in AP Euro: gold, God, and glory. Now, in this day and age, God is not really that big of a factor, even though it is. They do try to convert a lot of Native Americans to Christianity. It's more for, we all know, it was profit-driven, it was fame-driven, we all know. Like, even though there were missionaries, right, there were missions and whatnot, right, it's mostly just fame and money related. We kind of expected that. The Columbian Exchange, when the EU came to NA, they traded a whole lot of good things. They traded food, like Europe got access to like potatoes and beans, and America got access to like tobacco and whatever Europe had to offer. But the most important thing was that Europe brought over disease. Now, they brought over measles and they brought over smallpox, being the big two. And what this did is it raised havoc amongst the Americans. All right, hear me out. Like, I'm pretty sure the statistic is like 85 to 90% of Americans or Native Americans died because of diseases, which is a bit unfortunate because they didn't have the immune system nor the sanitation. It's just unfortunate. But Spain, they actually discovered the meta. They discovered the meta that crops in North America were very, very, very very stonks. Like, hear me out. Spain, they had at first they were like, yeah, we're gonna get gold, we're gonna get silver, we're gonna get rich. But then they realized, hey, we could farm stuff instead, because there's a whole lot of labor here, like slaves and stuff. So they started using slave labor and they started farming a lot. That's how Spain got hella rich. So yeah. That's it for this unit of AP US History kekw review. Thank you so much for watching. Just remember, if you're watching this video for APUSH too late, it's like the day before the APUSH review or APUSH test, I'm going to be laughing at you. That's why it's called the kekw review. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.